Are you ruining your car? Well, let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, are you ruining your car? Now this comes about partly because my wife and I are car people. We are big on maintaining our cars, cleaning our cars, driving them cautiously, caring for them, and we've always gotten many miles out of our cars. In fact, my previous car to this was a Ford C-Max hybrid that I personally put in excess of 200,000 miles on it. My adult son still has it, still climbing 218,000 miles I think it has on it at this point. And we typically have cars 100,000+ miles and before we get rid of them, and well, get rid of them before we trade them in or sell them. And our cars are generally look in mint condition and still run wonderfully by the time we choose to move on to a different vehicle. And yet I know so many people in my life that really don't care for their cars. Some family members, some friends, and they wonder why they have nothing but problems with their cars. So just things as simple as, I don't know, cleaning the interior out, and that you can tell if somebody is taking care of their vehicle by looking at these things. So what are some things you need to look at? Well, primarily, this is an EV channel, so primarily I discuss EVs, but much of this can apply to gas cars as well. If you have a typical gas-powered car, you're going to want to maintain the engine, get regular oil changes, and the typical tune-ups and air filters and that kind of thing. But for EVs, you don't have that, but you still can properly maintain or ignore the maintenance of your car and have problems with it. So there are a handful of things that you need to do. Number one, make sure that you are thoroughly familiar with the car, that you understand it, you know the way it operates, you understand all the maintenance schedule of the car, and that you have a basic understanding of the function of mechanical components. You don't have to be an engineer, but just understanding a few things. For instance, keeping the tires at the proper air pressure. It's important to understand what that does to the tread of the tire, how it adversely affects the handling of the car. You should have your tires rotated frequently, which means to move the tires from front to back and in a crisscross pattern, and it allows the tires to wear more evenly and last far longer. Maintain your brakes. Make sure that you don't have any pulsing of the brake pedal, there's no squeaking from the brakes, there's no asymmetrical pull, which means it'll pull to one side or the other under braking. Maintain your brakes. Walk around the car and look for small rust spots. Take care of them as needed. A lot of times you don't necessarily need to go into a body shop. If you have a teeny little spot, clean it up, touch up paint that spot. If nothing else, that will slow it down until you can get the car into a body shop at another time. But take care of these things. Add washer fluid as needed, because if you're running your windshield wipers on a dry windshield to clean something off of it, that's hard on the blades. Believe it or not, having washer fluid, the washer fluid acts as a lubricant for the blades. You never want to be running your wipers on a dry windshield. So small item, but it is important. If you have a nick in your windshield, get it filled, because it will eventually crack. I know so many people that I get in their car, the car's filthy, the tires are incorrectly worn, unevenly worn. A couple of tires are low on air pressure and the car's leaning to the side. If it's a gas car, they start it and there's odd sound coming from the engine and whine from the power steering pump and all of these issues, and it grates on me. It grates on me for a number of reasons. Number one, I'm a very mechanically inclined person, and it just drives me crazy to know that there are such lack of maintenance issues happening with a substantial investment. Item number two, the investment. A car is a substantial investment. And even though cars depreciate, they're not a good investment. They depreciate over time. Still, you can get a lot more use out of a vehicle and be able to get more for it when you sell it if you properly maintain it. Now, with an EV, you've got additional things. Battery care is really, really critical. So A lot of people will purchase an EV and not understand it, and they assume it's just like a gas car. With a gas car, when you're low on gas, you stop and you gas it all the way up. Why would you want to just put a half a tank in a gas car unless that's all the money you have? You would normally fill it all the way up. Well, a lot of people tend to assume that electric cars are that way. You plug it in, you just charge it all the way up to 100%, and the next day it's fully charged. Well, that's actually not the best for longevity of the battery. That tends to be, I don't know what I'd say hard on the battery, but maybe. I mean, it does shorten its life a little bit. So it's important to obey the 80-20 or maybe 90-20 rule, and that means try not to drop the battery below 20% state of charge unless you need to. But if you do, then charge it rapidly after that. Don't leave it at a low state of charge long term. And you might want to stop charging your car at maybe 80% or 90% unless you're going to drive very far and need all that range, because charging up all the way to 100% is it's not as easy on the battery as stopping at 80 or 90%. If you do charge it all the way up to 100% because you're going to use that range, that's fine. But make sure you don't leave it at 100% for a long period, you know, for weeks or months or whatever, because that would be hard on the battery. So you want to make sure that you are treating your vehicle properly. So another quick review again for the high voltage battery on an EV. 80-20 rule or 90-20 rule. Keep it between 80 or 90% at the top and maybe 20% at the bottom, just for the bulk of your use, and your battery will reward you with a very long service life. I would also say that in the coldest of weather, as I've stated in other videos, you might want to give yourself a little bit more charge before you leave for a day, because your range will be lower. You might want to charge the battery right before you leave, because that will add some warmth to the battery. I would say the only other thing is that with an EV, you will hear sounds coming from the car that you wouldn't coming from a gas car. Now that's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in that if there's something wrong with your car, that it's making some unusual noises, that is something that you will notice with an EV more than a gas car, because with a gas car, the engine and the transmission operation will tend to mask certain sounds, whereas with an EV it's a much quieter experience, and so more sounds become apparent. This can be a good thing because it can alert you of problems that may be present. The downside is, for perfectionists like me, you'll tend to pick up on every teeny tiny little sound that's happening in the car, and that can tend to make you a little bit neurotic. And I can hear the brake pads clicking and the calipers and different things, and I've had to learn to tell myself that's okay, that's normal. But with an EV, definitely if you hear an odd sound, don't ignore it. You will hear unusual sounds with an EV more so than a gas car, just in that you don't have that engine masking the sound. So anyway, just some basic information for you. Please take care of your cars. Please take care of your cars. No matter what you have, if you have a little used car you paid $1,200 for that has dents and rust spots on it or whatever, you can still increase the longevity of that car as well by taking care of it. Though I will occasionally floor my car and drive it a little bit hard, that is the exception, not the rule. The vast majority of the time, I drive my cars cautiously. I understand them, and therefore I know how to treat the car to get the best life out of it. I clean my cars. I do the regular maintenance. If there's something broken, I don't leave it broken. I go ahead and repair or replace that item. So by all means, you know, let me implore you, maintain your car. So if you maintain your car, you take care of it, it will take care of you. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Just a quick video for today. If you are wondering about the changed position of my screen, this is a swiveling screen mount kit that I manufacture for the Tesla Model 3. There'll be a link in the description below. If you'd like to order one, you can go ahead and do that. Any questions on that, let me know as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, any questions, leave them in the comments section below. And as always, stay charged. Thanks, guys. Take it easy now. Bye-bye.